Hey folks, and welcome back to another Let's Draw with using Adobe Photoshop. This is part of the Adobe Creative Suite that I'm using. I see that asked a lot on the comments. So this is actually Adobe Photoshop. I started off using Adobe Illustrator just so I can kind of get a feel for the Wacom tablet. It also has a nice little auto correction on the lines. Once I started feeling comfortable with the way I was using or being able to draw on the computer or on the tablet itself, I switched over to Photoshop so I can try and start doing actual digital painting, maybe like some shadows, shading effects, stuff like that. So today we're going to go ahead and start with a real quick line art that I did in Illustrator. It's really quick, really rough. I kind of like to draw, as I always say, I kind of draw weird. Um, I usually just start off with an extremely basic sketch, then I just start seeing where the piece takes me. I just start laying stuff out and see how things kind of flow. On this original one, I was going to have a cross in the background with the Grim Reaper sights kind of going off on the side, but felt I'm kind of doing that a lot, so I'll just do a little bit something different. Mostly these are the tattoos that I usually draw a lot, so that's why I go with skulls. That's actually kind of requested a lot, so I'm just kind of trying to get my skills sharpened up in Photoshop. Also, apologize, it's been a while. I haven't recorded or uploaded a video for a while. Work gets in the way. After working 8, 9 hour days, you get home, and last thing I kind of want to do is be behind a computer sometimes. So I just have been slacking off. But I had some free time, took a day off, and I was like, well, let's go ahead and see what I can do on here. And if you can see right there, I'm going with the cross again. But I decided, let's take that out. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm just dropping in some line art, just kind of getting an idea of how I want my shapes and kind of like my twists and folds to kind of go on the skull. I don't like the smooth skulls. I kind of like it where it's kind of grimacing, kind of wrinkled, and just kind of more grimacing. So that's usually the way I go. And one of the best things that I love about Photoshop, like how I just did there, I needed to readjust some of the positioning on the teeth and the lower jaw. So it's really quick. You can just select it with your lasso tool, move it over where you really want your items to go. Now here what I'm doing, I'm just dropping in some my base color and some basic global shadows and global highlights, just kind of getting a feel like, okay, where's the light source going to come from? I know he's going to have a cowl or a shroud on top of him. He's going to be a Grim Reaper, but I'm just kind of dropping everything where I'm kind of picturing in my head where it's going to be, where the light source is going to be brighter and where it's going to affect the folds of the actual, I guess you can say, bone. I was going to say flesh there, but let's just say bone. But that's what I'm kind of doing right here. I'm just dropping everything down, just kind of seeing like, okay, am I going too heavy on this? But I started to really kind of like how everything was going out, so I just went ahead and continued with it. Now, one of the things that I love about Photoshop is you can use layers upon layers upon layers. You don't want to do it too much, but what I am taking advantage of right now is using a base layer, which is the actual shape and the main color for the skull. And then on top of it, I create a new layer called a clipping mask. And a clipping mask pretty much means you can go past the area, but it's going to look at the layer below, the one that it's assigned to. And it's going to say, okay, I'm going to not visually show anything beyond that layer. So it makes it really useful whenever you want to paint, especially if you've got the base where you want it to go, such as how I'm doing here with the cow. I'm just kind of dropping down the base color really quickly so that way I can turn on a clipping mask and then I can start painting within the layer itself and not worry about, okay, I just went outside of the lines. It's that old coloring book, guys. It's guys and girls, try and keep in the lines. But it's just a little quick um, time saver to be able to do it that way. Now, one of the ideas that I had on this was within the leather cowl, I wanted to kind of have like faces screaming, kind of like souls, trying to escape from being collected, I guess you will. So it's just mostly just faces. They're not going to be proportionally correct. I kind of wanted to keep it to where it's like, okay, if they're behind a plastic bag or the leather, I kind of wanted it distorted as well as to kind of make it look like it's not an actual human body, but it's more like the representation of a trapped uh, soul, I guess you can say. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm not going to be really focusing on proportions or okay, does the nose look correct to the eyes and everything else. It's just mostly I'm going to drop it in if it feels good, if it looks right. If I kind of like the way it looks, I'll just keep going with it. Now here what I did is I created another layer behind the skull and the cowl. That way I can just drop in my darks. Like I know I'm going to have deep shadows inside the actual hooded area. So I dropped my darks, and then later on what I'm going to do, or what I'm planning to do, is actually fade in the skull itself. That way it looks like it's actually coming out, not just bam, here's the skull. So that's what I'm kind of looking at right there. Now, as I was working with this piece, I started thinking of the Texas Chainsaw Leatherface. I was like, you know what would be kind of cool? Just kind of putting it like how they've got different types of, I guess, flesh stitched together. That would be kind of cool. So I started just kind of playing in my head. Let's remember, like, I want to probably put like a stitching effect or just kind of like different separations of different types of leather, or if you really want to get gruesome, different types of flesh that the cow was actually composed of. Now here, what I'm doing, I'm just dropping down some real quick line art on a new clipping area. And that's going to set above the detail area. Just kind of, this is kind of where I like it to go. If I like it, I can start blending it in to the layers below. And that's one of the benefits of doing this on digital painting versus traditional pencil and paper, or even canvas. You're able to correct mistakes or test stuff out better uh, to see if you like the direction that it's going. Sometimes when it's a pen and ink or even canvas paintings, you can still correct it, but it's definitely something that's frustrating. With this, it's a layer. If you like the way it's going, you can blend in, you can kind of contour with the eraser tool, the lower layer, to make it everything kind of work better and just kind of work a little bit more seamless. Now here what I'm doing, I was just kind of playing in my head like, well, at the end it's going to have some stitching and it's going to have a little bit more of a harder, uh, at the end of the cowl it's going to have kind of like a finished stitched area. That way everything can come together. So I'm just kind of setting all that up like, okay, here's where I'm going to have this go. But this was definitely a fun little, I guess, day off project. I was sitting at the house and I was like, you know what, it's been a while since I've drawn anything. Let's go ahead and get Photoshop opened and let's just start playing around and goofing off and having some fun. The more I started playing with this, the more I started getting ideas. I didn't want to go too far with this one because I already had a good start with it, but I started getting ideas of maybe getting withered bodies actually folding into the leather, kind of like actually flying around in circular motion within the cowl. Started kind of playing with, I guess you can say, emblems in the background, maybe a circular pattern. I don't know, just something more to make this piece pop. So I figured, hey, this is a great welcome back, Mr. Carter, or welcome back, Mr. Cotter. Um, so I figured let's just continue on with this one, and then on a second attempt later on, when I get another day off, we'll just go ahead and redraw it with kind of the ideas of everything that I was seeing come together. But for right now, I'm definitely digging the way this is coming. And I'm kind of one of those where I'm thinking, well, this would be kind of cool forearm tattoo, maybe. But I don't know if I want to sit that long on a chair. Okay, so here what I'm doing, I'm just kind of dropping a little bit more different shadow effects and highlights just to try and make the ends pop a little bit like it's uh, the end piece where it's threaded and kind of like clumped up a little bit more. The more I was playing with it, the more I saw I need to blend a little bit more to make the shadows work a little bit easier. But yeah, guys, this is pretty much just where I'm at, my progress with Adobe Photoshop. Just thought I'd put together a little quick video just to kind of show you um, practice, practice, practice. That's definitely one thing that I'm doing as well. I'm looking for what techniques work best for me. Pretty much I'm starting to treat this the way you would a painting. Get your base and then just start adding to it. Don't worry too much about how things look. You can correct it with the uses of highlights, shadows, and just kind of the way you would treat a painting. You can correct a lot of different things. Just get the idea down and start working the problem, or start working the area to blend the way you need it to go, or to make it look the way that looks appealing to you. And last and not least, I'm just touching up the teeth a little bit, and there you go. There's the final piece. This one, I guess we'll call it a Grim Reaper Collection of Souls. But anyway, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed it. If y'all have any questions, don't forget to leave them in the comment section below. I'll talk to you guys soon. Later.